Tuesday after Martin Luther King Jr. Day, we'll start back into the session in Washington, D.C. With actual voting, and everyone will be back in. During that time period, the first two things that will come out of the box, one of them will be budget and starting the process of preparing the budget for 2013. That will be finalized towards the end of March. But the first thing a lot of people will see come out as far as a piece of legislation will hopefully be dealing with this extension for the rest of the 10 months on unemployment, on Social Security payroll tax piece, and then also on what they call the doc fix, which deals with Medicare recipients and the refunding that goes back to doctors. The Senate sent over the version that was much disputed in December. The House sent over the version that was for a full year. The Senate sent over a version for 2 years, for 2 months. And then there was all that infighting in between to try to figure out how we're going to get this resolved. The Senate wouldn't budge, so we end up with a 2-month extension. That's got to be fixed. So we're not continuing to do tax policy 60 days at a time, but a year or more at a time. So that's what's being resolved, and we'll do that quickly as we get back into session, I hope.
Well, you've been up there a little over a year now. If those are the two key issues, you are an interesting conservative because you also have a good dose of realism. Tell me how likely it is that even one of those, notwithstanding both of them, that even one of those get addressed in the next, say, quarter.
Right. Well, the budget's going to be passed. I'm on the budget committee. Paul Ryan is chairman of that. We've already had multiple conversations. We're going to work a budget through and get that done by the time we get to the end of March. So I have very high hopes on that. Whether the Senate picks it up or not, I doubt. The Senate has now, as soon as we get back in, State of the Union will happen the 24th of January. The Senate has not done a budget now in 1,000 days. Now that was when Democrats were leading the House and when Republicans were leading the House. The Senate has failed to do a budget at all. So not even through committee, much less past the Senate. So I'm very pessimistic on them picking up and doing one this year during a presidential election. On the other side of that, the unemployment piece and the Social Security Medicare payroll tax extension and the doc fix, we have to get those things resolved. There's common agreement that we've got to get this done for the full year, and we do not understand why the Senate would only do it 2 months at a time. It is much better to do that full year at a time than it is to do it 60 days at a time. So I'm optimistic something's going to be done on that. Now, the House proposal that we put on the table in December was a reform of the unemployment insurance to get more flexibility back to the states, to be able to have more ideas of how they're going to do that, whether they're going to require someone's working towards a GED. If they don't have one, do additional training and other job skills. If they've not taken that on, to be able to sharpen their skills, give them more flexibility to be able to make decisions as a state how that is managed. That's one of the things we would like to do. That's one of the things the Senate flatly rejected. We think that's a positive idea and allows Oklahomans to give good ideas to how to help people get into employment rather than just getting unemployment checks. We'll see how that process works. I'm less optimistic about that, but I am optimistic something is going to be done.
Representative James Lankford, thank you for your time, and we'll be talking to you again, I'm sure.